Now at 5 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, police say a 30-year-old man was going the wrong way on Highway 59 when he crashed and died at the scene.
One of the case investigators in the missing persons case of Rudy Farias is speaking out, saying she feels duped.
And a federal judge sentenced the gunman who killed 23 people in a mass hate crime shooting to 90 life sentences.
And we had additional showers today, and it was very nice. I hope you'll agree with me, but the clouds, even though they look pretty, they're going to go away. In fact, they're going to go away bye-bye over the weekend, and next week, well, we're back to the heat wave, so we'll be talking about that coming up in a moment.
And the planet marks 4 straight days of record temperatures, with Thursday the hottest day on record. You're watching 25 News Now at 5. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being with us. I'm James Munoz.
And I'm Karina Garcia.
Today, Patrick Crucius was sentenced to 90 consecutive life sentences for the 2019 mass shooting at an El Paso Walmart. Crucius pleaded guilty earlier this year to nearly 50 federal hate crime charges. The 24-year-old sentencing today came nearly 4 years after he drove more than 700 miles from his house near Dallas and targeted Hispanic shoppers with an AK-style rifle inside and outside the store. Prosecutors want Crucius to get the death penalty when he stands trial at the state level. No trial date set just yet.
And a protocol in place, and it's going to prolong the harm to this community, and it's going to prolong the time it's going to take to have a judicial finality on this case. And they made a decision based on the evidence, and that's the reason why they elected not to seek the death penalty. We don't believe that any jury in this country will give Patrick Crucius the death penalty because of the mitigating evidence that we have.
Federal prosecutors say Crucius carried out a premeditated racist massacre with a document created by Crucius with every detail carefully laid out. 36 victims addressed Crucius in court over the past few days.
And so here is your viewer poll this afternoon. The question is, do you support the death penalty for Patrick Crucius, yes or no? We want to hear from you. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part, and we're going to have an update on 25 News Now at 6. Now, a 30-year-old man was killed last night in a crash involving an 18-wheeler. It happened around 10 o'clock in the 2800 block of Highway 59. The man who died was in a car going south in a northbound lane of traffic when he crashed into a tractor trailer and another vehicle. He is identified as Alexander Cantu.
Police in Baltimore arrested a 17-year-old connected to a mass shooting at a block party over the weekend that claimed 2 lives. Detectives believe that teen was involved in the mass shooting. The young man is charged with possession of a firearm by a minor, assault weapon possession, reckless endangerment, and handgun in a vehicle. 3 of the 28 mostly teen victims remain at hospitals in fair condition. Texas is getting $60 million from the federal government to help utilities strengthen the state's electricity grid to better withstand extreme weather events. State emergency leaders will develop a plan on how to use the money. You can read this Texas Tribune article. We have it posted on our Twitter page.
Record heat continued across the globe Thursday. Preliminary data from the U.S. National Centers for Environmental Prediction shows the average world temperature climbed to 63.1 degrees Fahrenheit, marking the 4th straight day of record highs. Before this week, the hottest day on record was set in August 2016. These data sets only go back to the mid-20th century, but a senior scientist at the Woodwell Climate Research Center says this is probably the warmest the planet has been in at least 100,000 years.
Interesting stuff. I know we got some rain. It kind of cooled things down.
Yeah, it definitely
Matt, does
helped.
this rain like cool things down a bit?
Well, yes. As a matter of fact, our temperature yesterday was a very comfortable 88 degrees. We hadn't seen that in a while. There you see the clouds, though. James and Karina, wave goodbye at the clouds because they're going to go away by them, even by Sunday for sure. And the old sunshine, well, it'll be back, and the hot temperatures are going to return to our area, and it's part of that. You know, it's not just us, it's the entire globe heating up. Back to you.
Mac, thank you. A Houston man who was falsely reported missing for 8 years is now reuniting with extended family. Perez was found sleeping in front of a East Houston church just last week.
He was reported missing in 2015 when he was 17. Investigators say he was living with his mother all along.
After 8 long years,
very beautiful to see him, that he's okay.
Rudy Farias' Aunt Pauline.
He's skinny, but he's okay.
Finally got to see him tonight.
We hugged until I finally let go.
The 25-year-old reported missing at age 17 showed up outside this Magnolia Park church a week ago, but Houston police say he wasn't actually missing all this time.
Rudy returned home the following day on March 8th, 2015.
They followed up on tips but say his mother deceived police, insisting friends and family were seeing her nephew, not her son.
Both Janie, Rudy's mother, and Rudy himself gave fictitious names while interacting with various patrol officers.
Rudy is now staying with family friends. His aunt says he needs time to focus on getting well.
He doesn't want to go back to his mom.
Investigators say no reports of sexual abuse came up during HPD's interview with Rudy, but family members still want more to be done.
I still feel that he's traumatized. He's gone through a lot, and I still feel that further actions need to be taken.
The district attorney has not filed any charges at this time for making fictitious reports and failure to identify.
But police say it's still an active investigation, and this afternoon, one of the case investigators says she feels duped.
In plain sight. That's what detectives say Rudy Farias was doing for 8 years. His mother accused of never telling police where her son was, letting everyone believe he was a missing person.
There's a lot of people who put their heart and their soul and their time and their efforts into getting answers when I feel like we've been duped by her the whole time.
Brenda Paradise was a private investigator on this case, working with the nonprofit We Help the Missing. She says volunteers searched through wooded areas, exhausting efforts trying to find Farias.
Some of those resources we have to pay out of our own pockets for. So, as volunteers, we're willing to do that for families of the missing. And that's part of the heartbreak in all this, is that so many resources were just misused.
Paradise says Farias' mother's stories never seem to add up.
I'm lost with this one as to whether, somebody's got him hidden somewhere, or whether he just, or whether maybe mom was involved.
Eventually, search efforts were stopped. Farias continued living his life, but as someone else that neighbors knew as Dolph.
We would sit and talk about jobs. I'm like, my job higher and I can get you on. He like, nah, I'm good. He like, I like my job. I get paid more and I'm getting paid on the table.
I feel like it still doesn't add up.
Farias may no longer be hiding, but details about the past 8 years remain a mystery.
We have a road closure for you to be aware of starting Monday. Forest Street will be closed between Bridge and Main Streets beginning at about 6 p.m. July 10th, so the De Leon Plaza expansion project can begin. The project will convert this block of Forest Street into an expanded pedestrian and performance area with a pavilion, shaded seating, and a public restroom and space for food trucks. The project will finish in March 2024.
All right, a robber in Atlanta just couldn't get the attention of his victims. Police say a man walked in hiding his hand under a purse as if he had a gun. This is a nail salon, and you can see the people just refuse to react. At one point, one woman gets up and walks out. The man yelled at everyone to get down and demand money. When he approached the guy at the counter, the worker was on the phone and stayed on the phone. Crime Stoppers there is hoping someone can identify the suspect. A video you want to see over and over again, it's at our Instagram page. For more on today's news stories, come to crossroadstoday.com. Learn all about Pack the Bus. It kicks off July 28th with reporter Adarius McCormick. And remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click on the notification bell. Straight ahead on 25 News Now at 5, about 300 asylum seekers in Maine have a deadline at a temporary shelter.
Also ahead in health news, what do you need to know about HPV and cancer? Straight ahead. Here's a look at Community Crossroads this weekend. We first sit down with Jack Garcia to discuss his new book. Then Wind Services is here to talk about the hurricane season, and the Stroman class of 1973 makes an appearance. Plus, we have a national anthem rendition from David Vasquez.
In Portland's Expo have less than 40 days until they have to leave. Right now, there are about 300 people living in the temporary shelter. Last week, they protested the conditions they are experiencing there and the stress of not knowing where they'll go come August 16th when the Expo stops operating as a shelter.
A recall to pass along to you this afternoon. About 190,000 portable Varook chargers are under recall due to a fire risk. The chargers were sold exclusively on Amazon from July 2021 through May of 2023. They carry a model number of ODB7 and were made in a variety of colors. One of these chargers is blamed for starting a fire on a commercial flight, which resulted in 4 flight attendants being hospitalized for breathing in smoke. Owners are being advised to stop using the chargers immediately and contact the manufacturer for a replacement.
More than 42 million Americans are infected with the human papillomavirus, or HPV. The CDC says nearly everyone will have the virus at some point in their lives.
Some HPV infections can lead to cancer in both men and women, but the health experts say many people may not know their risk.
When Glenn Moog first noticed a lump on his throat, he didn't think much of it.
As it kept getting bigger, I kept trying to convince myself that it was just an infected lymph node.
But when the lump kept growing, he saw a doctor and learned he had stage 4 throat cancer, despite what he says is no history of any cancer in his family.
You automatically think the worst.
Moog says his cancer was caused by HPV, a virus that spread through intimate skin-to-skin contact, even if there are no symptoms. The CDC says most HPV infections go away within a couple of years, but others last longer. In the U.S., HPV causes about 36,000 cases of cancer each year in both men and women.
I didn't know anything about HPV virus, and I didn't know that it caused, throat and neck cancer to men in their 50s.
In the next decade, experts at The Ohio State University Comprehensive Cancer Center predict HPV-related throat cancer will be the most common type of cancer among those ages 45 to 65.
They didn't have the opportunity to get the Gardasil vaccine or the vaccine against the human papillomavirus. So they've already been exposed.
That's why Dr. Matthew Old says it's critical for this age group especially to know the symptoms of back of the throat cancers, which often start with a painless lump in the neck.
They could also have a sore throat, trouble swallowing, weight loss, or changes in their voice.
The cancer can be treatable. After radiation and chemo, Moog is doing well.
I'll never be 100% back to normal from treatment, but at least I don't have cancer.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Former President Jimmy Carter and his wife Rosalind are celebrating 77 years of marriage today. The couple marked the anniversary quietly at their South Georgia home. Both Carters are now facing significant health challenges. The 98-year-old former president entered home hospice care in February, while his 95-year-old bride is suffering from dementia. With a marriage that has now lasted 77 years, the Carters are the longest married first couple in U.S. history.
And congratulations to them, 77 years, amazing. Well, anyway, folks, our temperature right now, 91 degrees, a little bit warmer today, but that's because we got the afternoon sun. The morning showers were very nice. Problem is, that's the end of it. By tomorrow, we'll be seeing a lot more sunshine, and we'll be talking about what to expect for next week coming up in just a moment. Stay tuned.
Fentanyl crisis, unmasking the deadly wave. Join 25 News Now weekend anchor Adam Seibel for a 25 News Now Extra, Thursday, July 13th at 10 p.m. We focus on the alarming rise of the deadly drug fentanyl.
What you know about fentanyl is probably maybe 10% of the reality.
Fentanyl is easy to make and cheap to get, and it has flooded communities across the United States, leaving a trail of devastation in its wake. Don't miss this eye-opening extra that could save lives.
Good afternoon, everybody. We did get additional rainfall today. It was very nice at Riverside Park. Get a load of that, 9,200s. Good. Inez got in the action today with 5,600s. Raisin, hello everybody in Raisin. How many are you anyway? Anyway, they did have half an inch. Ganado really came down with 1.5 inches, and that's for today. And then Port Lavaca, 3,600s, and Seadrift did a little very well. Seadrift probably got 2.5 inches total out of all of this. But as I mentioned, the clouds were helpful in keeping the temperature down, but with a little bit of that afternoon sun, they all went up a little bit, got up to 91 right about now out at the airport. Now for Texas, this is kind of it, folks. The cloud cover, the moisture was all very nice. We may see 1 or 2 little showers tomorrow, but temperatures are going to be climbing back up to those ridiculous categories that we had a couple days ago. Now, here is, of course, the crossroads. You can see everything sort of dispersed over our area, but it rained heavily down between Corpus Christi and Alice, all the way in southwest Texas. And as we took the broader view, you can see there's still a whole bunch of moisture out there, but it's no longer moving toward us. You can see how it's moving to the northeast, somewhere, you know, headed toward maybe New Orleans or something like that. So this is no longer going to be a positive effect for us. It's going to be drifting in that direction because the upper winds are now catching onto it. Now, for us, while right now we don't have any advisories for us, we do have heavy rain advisory, possible flooding down in, I think that's Jim Wells County because of their big thunderstorm. Now, as we look at our map, these are weather hazards for tomorrow. And you can see all of the Panhandle has a heat advisory, and so does far west Texas, all the way out to Phoenix. Now, Phoenix normally is hot, right? We know that. But next week, they're going to be looking at 115 to 118 degree weather, and we are going to be getting back up to near 100 as well. Now, the reason being that big dome of high pressure over there, well, it's going to start expanding and it's going to be rolling on top of us. It's sort of bad news for us, good news for some people. As it moves and centers over our area, it's going to take the tropical moisture and bring it back around. So if anybody's ever been to Phoenix, they have summertime thunderstorms, okay? It's called the monsoon flow. They're going to start picking that up while we're going to be on the dry, hot side, as this dome is really going to cover almost a third of the country. So we're talking from Florida Peninsula all the way to California, where we're really going to be under the gun for more hot weather. Now, I hope you could see this. One of the reasons why, oh yeah, there you go. One of the reasons why we're not getting any activity in the Atlantic right now is because the Saharan dust has been blowing off, and that sort of shuts everything down. Down south here, the waters of the Atlantic are very warm, and that's why we do expect an uptick in activity, but not as long as that Saharan dust is in the air, and that may last about a week. On the west coast of Mexico, we're going to see 1, 2, maybe 4 different tropical storms. Fortunately, they're all moving in the right direction. Day planner for Port Lavaca getting up to 93 tomorrow. Day planner for Cuero Saturday afternoon about 94. The rest of us, it'll be okay for the weekend, but next week we're back to the heat index pushing back up to 115 to 118. So whatever you did to stay cool last week, we got to do that again. That's your 7-day forecast. I want to remind everybody we do have a QR code. Scan that with your phone and put Crossroads Today on your phone. We'll toss it back to James and Karina.
Thank you so much. Have a good weekend. Coming up next, we're going to take a look at your stocks. Plus, U.S. employers added jobs last month, but growth missed expectations.
Taking a look at your Friday stocks, the Dow down 187 points, the S&P 500 off 13 points, and the Nasdaq losing 18 points. Oil up $2.06, closing at $73.86 a barrel. Just 2 more days to grab stamps before the prices rise. Starting July 9th, first-class stamps will cost 66 cents, up from 63 cents. The Postal Service says the increase is necessary to offset rising operating expenses. The agency expects to lose $4.5 billion just this year alone.
The Bureau of Labor Statistics shows the U.S. added 209,000 jobs in June. That's lower than May's strong showing, and about 16,000 less than economists were predicting. This is the lowest monthly gain since December 2020. As for the unemployment rate, it dropped 0.1% to 3.6%.
Stay with us. We'll take one last look at your forecast. Plus, singer Tracy Chapman is on a journey she never expected to find herself in. We have this story straight ahead. Pack the Bus registration underway for children in need of school supplies. You can register to receive supplies online on Faith Family Church's website at myfcc.com/packthebus. Supplies will also be distributed on Saturday, August 5th at the Faith Family location on Mockingbird. For questions about registration, stop by Faith Family Church Monday through Thursday from 9 a.m. to noon or contact Stephanie Cadingo at 361-573-2484.
Tracy Chapman is making country music history. Her song Fast Car is #1 on Billboard's country airplay chart thanks to a remake by country star Luke Combs. Chapman is the sole writer of Fast Car. She becomes the first black woman to top the chart since it came into existence in 1990. Fast Car was the first single of Chapman's self-titled debut album in 1988.
Oh, well, y'all are going to hate me for this one, but I don't know, Tracy Chapman.
You have homework for Spotify.
I got homework this weekend, huh?
Yeah.
Spotify.
It was a cool song when it came out,
Yeah.
and now they're redoing it again.
Yeah,
But what about those cool temperatures? Are we getting any of that soon?
Cool temperatures.
We got a little bit of rain.
Yeah, I told you that if you saw the rain, take a picture because it's going to be a long time before we see it again. Folks, we did have additional rain today. There's 1 or 2 little showers left possible tomorrow. But other than that, folks, we're going to say goodbye to the clouds and hello back to the hot weather. Yes, by certainly Tuesday, you're going to start feeling the heat and humidity because the heat index will be going back up to 115 and 120.
No.
So yeah, it's that oppressive. It's just not hot. It's just brutal hot.
It's brutal hot. You go outside and you can feel it burning.
And that's what we're going to be getting. Not only us, but all of the southern 1/3 of the country is going to be dealing with this. So it's going to be a big story next week.
Yeah, be prepared. Thank you, Mac. Thank you for being with us.
That's right. We hope to see you back here tonight for 25 News Now at 6. World News Tonight with David Muir is up next.
Love is